I'm Margaret Ann Windsor, and kidnapped in 41 at age 2 and brought to Moulton, Alabama. And my father's Edward VIII, who has been lied about, smeared, and still being done so now in this day and age. With all that I have put up here, and the Brits have tried to hang on and are, in spite of all the crap that's going on. I'm going to tell you, UK and the Brits, you've been fed a bunch of lies about who your allies are. Allies don't take down Edward VIII with lies and character assassination because he cared about his country, because he was married to Claudia Ruth O'Keefe, my mom. Married to him. They're my mom and dad. And I'm Victoria II, the legal heir to the British Crown. And that I am. The Illuminati, that's the reason they're in power, because they took down my father. And they allowed the military, U.S. military, to come in with Winston Churchill, the cigar-smoking, all these people have been made to look like the good guys when they're rotten as heck. Now, you notice I'm leaving out a few choice words that really they should be used. But hey, that's not popular, okay? You can do all these crimes and get away with it, but you can't call them what they are, really. That would be offensive. Well, they're offensive to me. They helped take down my father and my mom, helped kidnap me with Joe Kennedy, the friggin' Kennedy bunch, that a lot of people, even in the UK, have been misled. When you've got JFK Jr. coming up on the Appalachian Trail, this was 94, I believe, the spring of, and his purpose was, I'm standing there at a hiker's shelter. Everybody should see where I spent the winters and summers too, doing the trail back and forth a certain area of it. Don't let anyone tell you that made it less hell, because it was for me. And people were told not to help me, and they didn't. I starved and froze. I'm the real monarch, and you gotta get with what the frustration at knowing the Brits and the Aussies, that's Brits, and the people of the United Kingdom. I hope Scotland was in there for me. I know that Canadians in Quebec came down and still do at times from Canada. So there's support there. And people that still remember my father, and that he never married this sorry sot Wallace Simpson, who was an American spy, that married an impostor, a double, not Edward VIII. My father had papers drawn up that were legal that said if he had an heir would inherit. And that's who I am. Queen Victoria II, the minute I was born. And then this sorry sot George VI that was named king by the Illuminati, and thus Elizabeth and that whole rotten bunch. They're rotten to the core, and they are not the monarchy. They're fakes. And Obama taking Lil George. You will never know the truth unless there has been a movie made or something, and people with cameras along the way. You will never know the truth. They have done such a whiz job on defaming my father and deleting my mom. My God, the O'Keefe's. My mom's from Madison, Wisconsin. This deal about Meghan Markle. And I'll get jumped on. This scenario is so hard to get with. You get the monarch over here that's been through holy hell. So did my father. So did my children, Mark and Scott. God knows. I hope they're alive. They have been, if this were told to the world and the world was made to look at it, it would shame. It's such a horror story that it's allowed to happen. And Elizabeth is way up in the Illuminati, one of the top. She represents them, the very people that kidnapped me, took down my dad and mom, did this to my kids. Their whole thing was to take down the British Empire. And when my father was taken down, he wouldn't follow their orders. And JFK, that people think is the good guy, how do you call him good when he has, number one, helped his father take down my father, and his own son comes up on the mountain? He can't write about it in his glorious book, magazine, George. But he could come up the mountain, the old trail, and that dates it. It was a year prior to the new trail, being born. Hey, I'm going to mention one person that was my true friend here, really. And he's deceased. He was older then. And that was Siegfried. He was a German, and God bless him. And it's the oddest thing. My father was a good man. My mom, a good lady. She was a school teacher. Sister Georgia O'Keeffe, the artist. Good family, the O'Keeffes. Look what's been done if you go back in history and you can look at what the things that were done to the O'Keeffes. All because this sorry bunch of low-life scumbag, Freemason, Illuminati, United Nations, that's the front that came to be after they took my dad down. And this mess, somehow, my writing about mind control and chipping and finding out about my kidnapping and the Illuminati, your global government, was it that did it. I mean, and that the thing that gets me is wake up. It really hurts me. Do you think someone's your friend if they kidnap your monarch, and that's me, a baby at age 2, and the horrific crimes done against me and my sons, Mark and Scott, heir after me? And the United States has got its military all underneath and on the everything British. What's left that they didn't take? Now then, I'm a little confused sitting over here going through all this crap still about, I know that the exit of the UK from the Union, I'm a little confused on all that because the UK is your center, just like DC really is of the United States. So you can take out the UK, it makes it, and then you replace the monarch with a fake monarch who works for the Illuminati that kidnapped me and try and take down the Brits, the British Empire. Well, for those, if anybody watches this, you've been lied to. I only hope, because I really want to pay back the Brits that were up on the mountain and walked through life with me, and they did. It's got to have been terribly hard. And I just want to say one thing in case there's some of them left from back up on the Appalachian Trail. And one day I hope you all get to see this, where it fits into this. They spent the night up there, slept on rocks. And what was it they said? It's the old movie, Homer and Jethro. They know what I mean. I know what they meant. And I owe them. And I hope I get the chance to repay them. Those that were true blue and didn't forget me and didn't forget my father and my children and my mom. And those that are up in, the O'Keeffes haven't forgotten. So that's all I have to say, because my fingers are crossed. And I hope we win.